Thank you for joining us for the 2022 virtual All Black Gala, reconnecting to Monterey County's historic Black community, honoring Black excellence, past, present, and future. Before we begin our program, we would like to review some Zoom housekeeping items with you. Tonight's webinar is being recorded. Please note in a Zoom webinar, you will only be able to see and hear the presenters in tonight's event. Your video and audio will not be available for this presentation. Throughout the program this evening, you will be able to chat with both the panelists and the other attendees. If you would like to send a chat, please click on the chat icon on the bottom of your Zoom toolbar as shown on the screen. Please keep all of the comments in the chat appropriate. Failure to do so will result in the host removing you from this webinar. There is also a live transcript option available during tonight's webinar. If you would like to turn on closed captioning, please click on the live transcript icon on the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. Here you will have the option to show subtitles and view the full transcript. To turn off closed captioning, simply click the live transcript icon again and turn off the captioning. If you need assistance during the program tonight, please email us at specialevents@csumb.edu. One of our event team members will be checking the email throughout the event to assist you. And at this time, I would like to welcome Brooklyn Green to the virtual stage. She's the president of Black Students United, and she will be your MC for tonight's event. Please give a warm welcome to Brooklyn.
Let me unmute myself. Hello and welcome to CSUMB's 2022 All Black Gala. My name is Brooklyn Green. I'm a third-year psychology major at CSU Monterey Bay, and I will be serving as the MC for tonight's program, Reconnecting to Monterey County's historic Black community, honoring Black excellence, past, present, and future. As president of CSUMB's Black Students United, I bring greetings on behalf of the BSU, and we congratulate the campus and community honorees, Zara Latour, Marcus Garrett, Antoinette Anderson, Tyler Williamson, Jessica Newman, Lynn White Dixon, Edward Armstrong, and Helen Rucker. Here to bring greetings on behalf of California State University, Monterey Bay is President Eduardo Ochoa. Dr. Ochoa, who owned his PhD in economics at the New School for Social Research in the state of New York, was tapped in 2010 to serve as the Assistant Secretary of Post-Secondary Education in the Obama administration. Dr. Ochoa became invested as the president of CSU Monterey Bay in 2012 and will be retiring at the end of this academic year. Please welcome Dr. Eduardo Ochoa.
Good evening, and welcome to this year's Black Gala, honoring members of our community, whether they're elders of the community, former faculty and staff, or current students and alumni. It's always important to do so. When we recognize the contributions of the members of our community, both internal and external, we acknowledge that our university is only as good as the community that supports it. It was the advocacy of members of the greater Monterey Bay community that made the founding of CSUMB possible. It is the ongoing contributions of members of our communities that make the growth, development, and impact of this university possible. As president of CSUMB, I am proud of the relationships we have developed in the communities we serve. I'm even prouder of our university community and the phenomenal work that is being done by our incredible students, faculty, and staff. Tonight, we're honoring members of both our local and university communities. Their work and accomplishments are impressive, and through their tireless and selfless contributions, they have made our communities better. We are fortunate to benefit from what they have accomplished. On behalf of the university, I thank you. I will return later in the program to make an important announcement regarding one of our honorees.
Thank you so much, President Ochoa. Here to bring greetings on behalf of the President's Cabinet, please welcome Dr. Brian Corpenny. Dr. Corpenny joined CSUMB on June 18, 2018 as our Chief Diversity Officer and is the Vice President of Inclusive Excellence.
Thank you, Brooklyn. You must give your own story to the world. Those words are from Carter G. Woodson, who founded Black History Week in 1926. The need for the week to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass was to ensure that the story of Black people was given to the world. Black History Week is now Black History Month, and the history and culture of the Black community is now evident throughout the year. In that spirit, the purpose of tonight's tribute to our honorees is to both recognize and remind. It's to recognize what members of our community, young and old, have accomplished. is to recognize what those accomplishments have meant, not just for our community, but for this world in which we live. Is to remind us that as much as we have done, we have more to do. It is also to remind us that collectively, through community, anything can be accomplished. Tonight is about our honorees giving their story to the world, and we are all better for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Corpany. Here to bring greetings on behalf of the Monterey County Branch NAACP is Branch President Yvonne Thomas. Ms. Thomas is a veteran journalist and activist. As president of the local NAACP branch, Ms. Thomas has greatly increased the branch's social media presence, publicity, and membership and donations.
Thank you, Brooklyn, and good evening, everyone. I bring you greetings from the Monterey County NAACP. We are so pleased to participate in this wonderful event, for it is truly a celebration. So much time is spent in Black History Month reflecting on our struggles, and it is so important that we always remember to also celebrate our triumphs. Black excellence. Just speaking those words makes me want to stand up and straighten my crown. It's imperative that we tell our stories, not just in Black History Month, but all year long. So much of our history has been forgotten and erased, which is why organizations like the NAACP have been placed in a prime position to address these wrongs so that Black American history is included in its entirety. We continue to make great strides and advances in our fight for civil rights, and it's so unfortunate that the current health crisis has robbed us of planning many in-person celebrations this year. But that will not stop us from shining the spotlight on a constant battle of keeping our history alive and honoring our heroes and sheroes from the past, present, and future. The concern is real, however, here in 2022, as we face constant attacks on our history with very deliberate attempts to sanitize the curriculum and, for lack of a better term, attempts to whitewash education. And I must also acknowledge the fears we are still confronting with the recent wave of bomb threats on the campuses of historically Black colleges and universities. These cowardice threats have reignited concerns about the rise of domestic terrorism in the United States and its connection to white supremacy. Nearly 24 HBCUs were targeted during Black History Month, prompting campus evacuations and several probes by law enforcement. Innocent young people are being threatened in an environment that is supposed to foster learning, and that is simply unacceptable. We know that the fight isn't over and that we must engage in these battles yet another day to keep our history alive. Our stories deserve to be told because they are great ones. Our struggle from slavery to freedom, how we were compelled to forge new identities in this country, but still infused it with our unique spirit. I can't stress enough the importance of seeing images of Black excellence every day to remind the young people of those that came before them who dealt with some very difficult situations, but still figured out ways to triumph. These are the men and women who spoke the truth and challenged the status quo, regardless of the dangers involved. CSUMB is demonstrating that it will remain at the forefront of this fight in Monterey County and serve as an example nationally and internationally for how it should be done. It is so much better when we all pledge to work together to pay tribute and celebrate such a rich legacy. Residents living in the great melting pot that is this county must band together and realize that there is room at the table for everyone. It is imperative that we shrink the chasm that is dividing our Black and Brown communities and not act as a wedge that widens the gap. I pledge that we can all come together to advocate for our civil rights, claim our seats at that table, and raise the next generation of leaders by holding our adversaries accountable. This is true power, and this is what the NAACP stands for. Congratulations to all of our honorees, and I hope that everyone enjoys tonight's program as we celebrate Black excellence at its finest. Thank you.
Thank you, President Thomas. Here to bring greetings on behalf of the National Coalition Building Institute Please welcome Mr. Stephen Goings. Mr. Goings is a licensed clinical social worker at the Campus Personal Growth and Counseling Center, a life member of the NAACP, and editor of the Black Folks Calendar of Monterey Bay newsletter.
Good evening, everyone. As Brooklyn said, I bring greetings on behalf of the CSUMB affiliate of the National Coalition Building Institute, whose purpose is to eliminate every form of discrimination by developing multicultural coalitions and building communities in which everyone feels they belong. And that, of course, is what Black History Month and events like the All Black Gala are all about, celebrating the Black excellence of our community leaders as they struggle against oppression while working towards the beloved community that Brother Dr. Martin Luther King dreamed of. Since meeting Mrs. Helen Rucker in the late 2000s, I learned of the outsized influence that she and so many other members of the local Black community, like former Mayor Don Jordan, Pastor Fred Anderson, and educator Debbie Anthony, had on advocating for the development of California State University to replace the gaping demographic hole in the Black community that only grew after the decommissioning of the Fort Ord Army Base. With the establishment of a CSUMB chapter of the NAACP, the Historically Black Church Tour, and the Monterey Bay Black Folks Calendar, I have made it my business over the years to do whatever I could to increase the quantity and quality of institutional connections between CSUMB and the Black communities of Monterey County. Black generations before me that fought so hard to establish CSU Monterey Bay, which now straddles the cities of Seaside and Marina, deserve no less. As a member of the Monterey County branch NAACP, a student mental health counselor and double alum of CSUMB, having received both my bachelor's and master's here, I am in the fairly unique position of having attempted to serve the Black community from all the categories of tonight's honorees: student, alum, employee, and community member. With one exception, I know every one of tonight's honorees personally. They are extraordinary exemplars of Black excellence, and I can't wait for you to hear about their stories and their great deeds. Finally, let me say that with the 2018 hiring of CSUMB Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Brian Corpenny, the renaissance of the Monterey County branch NAACP under President Yvonne Thomas, the continued leadership of Mayor Ian Oglesby in Seaside, Mel and Regina Mason, co-founders of the Village Project, developers Al Glover and Danny Bakewell Jr. and Sr., Rhonda Mercandale Evans and Dr. Vivian Waldron Patterson of the African Heritage Faculty and Staff Alliance, major church leaders, Pastors Anthony Dunham and Eugene Jones, as well as Monterey Peninsula Unified School District Superintendent Dr. Diffenbaum. The development and funding of CSUMB's Center for Black Student Success is poised to be the linchpin of the long needed and long hoped for revitalization of the Black communities of CSUMB and Monterey County. Congratulations to all of tonight's honorees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goings. That concludes the greeting portion of our program. We will now have a spoken word performance interlude from Dr. Daniel Summerhill before moving into the awards portion. Dr. Summerhill joined CSUMB as an assistant professor of poetry and social action and composition in fall 2019. On January 12, 2022, Dr. Summerhill was named Monterey County's first ever poet laureate. Here, Dr. Summerhill, when we say it's in us, not on us. Please enjoy.
When we say it's in us, not on us. Okay, so boom, we die, but we don't die, like hip hop or Tupac, but more serious, like demigods playing spades, cutthroat. We bleed and flowers bloom where the drops land. American fruit, juicy, skin bruised, rich in vitamins A, B, C, D, and endurance. Got got plenty of soul. Call it the fight organ. It stays and stays like kin. Our blood got fist. And if that don't make sense, consider this. You can't make gumbo without the roux. And ain't we fly? Don't we be brown unapologetically, all new Negro movement and fist on Pennsylvania Avenue? Ain't we right now? Like yesterday happened, we'll go to a funeral tomorrow, but today is kissing my forehead soft, so I think I'll stay here for a while. Ain't we magician? Make feast out of famine and few turn a pot of collard greens into a love story, the kind of dopamine that'll put you to sleep. Ain't we bold? Don't we sing gospel hymns on Sunday mornings and redemption songs on Monday night? Ain't we fly? Don't we make up a new grammar like the dictionary was too boring, so we added an extra syllable to the end of baby girl's name? Don't we make the alphabet sound cool? Euphemisms and sublime, because ain't politically correct. My Ebonics is a language you can't understand me because you refuse to listen. Ain't we fly? Don't our crowns be heavy, but we still manage to keep our heads up? We make a movement out of a movement. We dance into our lineage drips from our pores. We sing both folk and Negro spiritual, sing an angelic dialect, sing we shall overcome, sing we gonna be all right. Ain't we fly? Don't we defy binary? Make space between brawny and plush. Even as the sun skips past the spine of America, we still wake up each day and send shockwaves to the cerebral. We be both blood and backbone of this country. Yes, all 5/5 hair coiled in harmony like black fists. We knew poetry before we knew prayer, the way our elders showed us the Psalms. Ain't we fly? Ain't this poem a celebration of those things they either claimed or mocked as their own, for that little black boy who was silenced in elementary school when he told his teacher that he wanted to be a rapper when he grew up? I say, freestyle, black boy. Music is our blues, our praise, our voice. In praise of our voice, sing, we gon' be all right. Sing, we gon' be all right. Sing, we gon' be all right. Ain't we?
That was wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Summerhill. We now turn to honoring Black excellence past, present, and future, both on and off campus. We have sent the physical awards to the homes of each of this year's honorees. We would, of course, have loved to have been able to present tonight's event in person, but due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, we had to switch to a webinar format. The good news is that with the rates of COVID presently plummeting around the country and the state of California, the All Black Gala Committee has elected to host an in-person reception for tonight's honorees and the general public at part 2 of our event on Sunday, April 24th, 2022 at the University Center Ballroom from 4 to 6. Now, in my role as the president of Black Students United, the premier student organization for Black students and their allies, I am proud to present tonight's honorees. The 2022 All Black Gala Undergraduate Award for Black Excellence goes to Zara Latour. Zara is a third-year business major with a marketing concentration. Currently, some of her involvements with CSUMB consist of working with the Center for Black Student Success as their social media manager, being the vice president of Black Students United, being a residential advisor for the African Heritage Scholars Floor, and being a researcher within the African Heritage Research Collaborative. Zara has expressed that she is so grateful that she has had this opportunity to be a part of so many programs focused on the success of African American students on the CSU Monterey Bay campus. Please welcome Ms. Zara Latour.
Hello, I just want to say thank you. I'm extremely grateful to be presented with this award. I've loved being able to work with all these different programs to help uplift young Black students. So thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. Congratulations, Zara. The 2022 All Black Gala Graduate Award for Black Excellence goes to Mr. Marcus Garrett. After 15 years of teaching self-development and leadership principles to transition-age youth, both locally and around the state, Marcus Garrett decided to re-enter academic life to pursue a career in clinical social work. He was granted a BA in sociology from San Jose State University, where he made both the dean's and the president's list for academic achievement. He is currently in his last semester of CSUMB's 2-year social work graduate program and is a health resources and services administration, behavioral health, workforce education, and training scholar. Marcus Garrett is also a contributing scholar with the African Heritage Research Collaborative, where he has studied the role of faculty involvement on the academic success of students of color. He's also been both a participant and facilitator in Harambe, CSUMB's support program for students who identify as male and of African heritage. This semester, he is working closely with his clinical supervisor to create a new PGCC counseling and support group called Umoja. Umoja is a Black and African heritage students of all genders and is being co-created with students themselves to meet their own express needs for belonging and thriving on CSUMB campus. Please welcome Mr. Marcus Garrett.
Good evening, all. I just want to thank the selection committee for this honor.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Oh, are you?
I'm sorry, there's a little confusion there. I do want to take a minute also to thank a few other folks. I want to thank professors Vanessa Lopez-Littleton and Dennis Combe with the African Heritage Research Collaborative, as well as Lynn White-Dixon and Stephen Goins for their support and mentorship in pursuing my LCSW. I just want to say the work I've done, the work I aspire to do, it's really about me following my heart, and I just to be worthy of those who struggle to make my path possible. I'm very grateful, and I'm humbled by this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Marcus, and congratulations. We have two recipients of the 2022 All Black Gala Alumni Award for Black Excellence. The first award goes to Ms. Antoinette Anderson. Antoinette Anderson is a Humanities and Communication alumni from CSUMB, graduating with the class of 2014. She has had a professional career of 7.5 years working in education, specifically with admissions offices, and is currently pivoting a new role in the private sector as a business recruiter for a startup, where she will be helping her new team acquire talent for the company. She is passionate about helping people find their paths in life through education and exploring their potential career options, and lets her passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion influence her work. So far in her career, she has developed strategic recruitment plans to recruit more students of color at CSUMB, and during her time at CSUMB, helped them grow their population of Black students from 2% to 5%, helped institutionalize affinity welcomes at CSUMB, led an anti-racism committee where they developed race and equity dialogues with a consultant and made it applicable to enrollment management professionals at UC San Diego, and created and hosted a podcast focused on career and college readiness. That is just a short list of Antoinette's many accomplishments. When Antoinette isn't working, she is touring the taco and brunch scene of San Diego. Please welcome Ms. Antoinette Anderson.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be recognized tonight. I just want to say, I just want to give a great shout out to my community at CSUMB. One thing that CSUMB taught me is that your community is sacred to you. It's sacred to you and it's sacred to your experience. If I hadn't have found my community, I don't know that I would be where I am today. So I want to say thank you to my mom and dad for packing me up almost against my will and dealing with my countless calls home freshman year, requiring them to pack me up, send me home. I was ready to go back to LA. I want to say thank you to my best friend, Kayla, for introducing me to the clam chowder scene in Monterey, which was actually one of my pivoting points. I want to also say thank you to Umi, who was one of my favorite professors. He always kept me on task in class and always knew how to make class fun. And then I also want to say thank you to my favorite politician and dear friend, Tyler Williamson. I'll never forget the first time I saw you in class and thought, who is this politician? And 11 years later, we're still great friends. Last but not least, I definitely want to give my biggest shout out, my biggest thank you to the CSUMB community as a whole, and also to the African American Faculty and Staff Alliance and the Office of Admissions. You saw a stone and you turned me into a diamond. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Antoinette. Very well said. The second recipient of our 2022 All Black Gala Alumni Award for Black Excellence goes to Councilman Tyler Williamson. Tyler Williamson earned his BA in Human Communications at CSUMB in 2013. He went on to get a master's in business administration from the Naval Postgraduate School, where he also served as an executive assistant to the Chief Information Officer. As a local response to the 2016 massacre of LGBTQ+ goers at the Post Street nightclub in Orlando, Florida, Tyler became a co-founder and co-chair of Monterey Peninsula Pride, a nonprofit civil rights and community building organization for local LGBTQ+ folks of all ages and ethnicities. Councilman Williams' first foray into national politics was at the San Francisco campaign coordinator for the 2012 re-election of President Barack Obama. In 2018, he successfully ran for the Monterey City Council, thereby becoming the first African-American, first gay man, and the youngest councilman in the city's history. Williams serves on CSUMB's Center for Black Student Success Advisory Committee, and along with Antoinette Anderson, is leading efforts to establish an association of other Black alumni of CSUMB. Congratulations, Tyler.
Okay. Everything's jumping around here. All right, good evening, CSUMB friends and family. As a 2013 HCOM graduate, I would never have imagined being recognized as a CSUMB All Black Gala honoree. Thank you to the selection committee for seeing something in me, because I know there are many other Black alums out there doing amazing work. I'm joined with all of you here today because of some of my role models, like President Obama, who I owe much of my political activism to, my mom, who's a 20-year United States Navy veteran, and the powerfully iconic Black gay writer and activist James Baldwin, and supporters over the years like CSUMB's very own Stephen, or who I like to call Quasar Goings, who makes me feel like I belong. We also have my fellow alum, Antoinette Anderson, who asked me to be her Malcolm X in her capstone project in a play titled A Race Through Time. And finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank one of who I see as one of the region's greatest leaders ever, Mel Mason, who personifies selflessness through humility, courage, respect, generosity, care, and justice. Thank each and every one of you and the many others who've supported me in your own ways. I love each and every one of you. As a transfer student from MPC, my time at CSUMB was brief. I was also working a full-time job and my school schedule was fully loaded. These factors contributed to my lack of involvement in extracurricular activities. So if there was one thing I could go back and do, I would try to find a way of creating more interactions outside of the classroom with my classmates. Relationship building is so important for life, connections, and sanity. Nonetheless, I'm thankful for the relationships I built while attending my alma mater. These relationships were critical when I came out while a student at CSUMB. I took a leave of absence from school and work to manage the 2012 Obama campaign out of the San Francisco headquarters, with the office smack dab in the middle of the Castro. It was easier to do it there, but it was challenging when I had to come home to Monterey and tell my Black father, who identifies himself as a preacher man, that his son was attracted to somebody of the same gender. Gasp. There's a lot to this Black gay man story, but all I'll say is I'm so thankful for those relationships, because without them, I wouldn't be the first fill in the blank Monterey City Council member pushing policies with a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. Things like prioritizing social services in the city's budget, campaign finance reform, affordable housing closer to where jobs are, and renter protections. Racism and homophobia and continue to erase the historical contributions of Black queers, and so stand here on their shoulders to celebrate the criticality of our intersectionality and how we continuously pave the way, not just for people like us, but for the betterment of everybody. I think of people like Bayard Rustin, the Black gay man who was an MLK key advisor, organizer of the March on Washington, and later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Or in more recent history, Andrea Jenkins, who was the first openly transgender Black woman elected to political office in November of 2017, who I'm proud to call a partner in work that we do with Victory Institute, an organization dedicated to elevating openly LGBTQ leaders who can further equality at all levels of government. If you are queer and have even a drop of interest in politics, I'd encourage you to participate in their candidate and campaign training. Whatever it is you plan to do or whatever you're doing or did, go out there and meet somebody different. The world is full of so much beauty, and each of us play a role in bringing light to the darkness in the world. I'll end with a quote from James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, quote, "There is no reason for you to try to become like white people, and there is no basis whatever for their impertinent assumption that they must accept you. The really terrible thing, old buddy, is that you must accept them. And I mean that very seriously. You must accept them and accept them with love." Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Tyler. That was amazing. In relationship to our past, present, and future theme of tonight's All Black Gala, our students and alumni represent the promise of tomorrow, even as we acknowledge their past and present accomplishments. In recognizing our past staff and faculty honorees for a body of work that is complete as far as their employment at CSUMB goes, but we know that they will have done and will continue to do great things before and after their careers at CSUMB have ended. Here to present the 2022 All Black Gala past staff and faculty awards for Black excellence, please welcome back Mr. Stephen Goings.
Thank you, Brooklyn, and congratulations again to Zara and Marcus and Antoinette and Tyler. Tyler, that was amazing. So the 2022 All Black Gala Staff and Faculty Black Excellent Awards are specifically for those who, either by retirement or career advancement, have left the university. The Black Excellence Staff Award goes to Ms. Jessica Newman. Ms. Newman served for just over a year at CSUMB as the coordinator of the Otter Cross-Cultural Center, one of tonight's sponsors, but her legacy at CSUMB has been enormous and deserves to be recognized in ways that it sadly was not recognized when she was here with us. Jessica Newman is an extremely proud native of Chicago. At an early age, her multicultural experiences encouraged Jessica to interrogate the educational and economic inequities of her city. She grew to be a social justice educator, artist, and cultural bridge builder. She received her bachelor's in global studies and her master's in college student personnel administration before bringing her unique form of Black girl magic to the Central Coast of California as the coordinator of the Cross-Cultural Center at CSU Monterey Bay, where she was absolutely beloved by our students. In 2017, she moved back to Chicago, where she became the co-founder and co-director of Modus Chicago, a dance company rooted in dance therapy that bridges healing and technical dance skills for members of low-income communities. In 2020, Jessica birthed Transformation Lens, a limited liability company to challenge our world to think about diversity, equity, and inclusion beyond mere checkboxes and the so-called bottom line. Transformation Lens develops the individual mindsets needed to make systemic change. As an educator, lifelong learner, and vision birther, Jessica aims to help people develop their idea of liberation, pursue change management with an equitable lens, and work towards a world we all want to live and work in. Tonight's All Black Gala would not have been possible without Jessica Newman, as she co-developed this annual event during her stint with us at CSUMB. Never shy about speaking truth to power, as part of her exit summary, Ms. Newman sent a powerful and highly influential open email to campus leadership detailing what she found to be the campus's toxic environment for Black students and professionals, along with brilliant recommendations for systemic and cultural change. Campus organizations such as the African Heritage Faculty and Staff Alliance and the President's Committee on Equity and Inclusion have sought to codify some of Ms. Newman's recommendations since then. Jessica's legacy will be her ability to inspire emerging leaders and transform systems and communities alongside her people as a servant leader. Please welcome Ms. Jessica Newman.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you, CSUMB community. It is with great honor and gratitude. My experience at CSUMB was definitely turbulent, but I also learned a lot of things from Stephen Goins, from Shanika Jones, from Diana O'Bivery, from everybody on the Black faculty, staff, employee group. It was a nice pleasure to get pushed to actually have Black excellence. So I just start there because I did not do that work alone. And so with that, I just want to share a quote from Toni Morrison: "Without community, there is no liberation, but community must not mean a shedding of our differences, nor the pathetic pretense that these differences do not exist. We are all unique, we all have strong voices," and that was something that the community at CSUMB reminded me of every single day. So I appreciate those who pushed me, those who were with me. I also want to give a huge shout out to the Cross-Cultural Center, the student coordinators who was there on a day-to-day when I was the lone wolf in that office. I would say the idea of the All Black Gala actually stemmed from them. So I was just a driver and the catapult to actually see and make sure it was happen, that their vision came to life. So Carla Noales brought the idea and we ran with it and made it happen. So I know that my role wouldn't exist if the students were not pushing forward. I also know I wouldn't have stayed as long if there was not as much of the student passion, and also the faculty and staff, as we see on this call, who are dedicated to the work. I am grateful for the things that I learned in that space, and I have taken it with me from where I'm from and where I'm going. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what Black excellence is from where I'm from. Black excellence is not a standard to be compared to the white man, for their being is far too bleak. They are just trying to match our chic. So it is an inheritance of our power, something our ancestors instilled in us way back when. Be odds, resilience, ownership, authenticity, living out loud, being Black, LGBTQ, disabled, whoever you are, just being proud. Black excellence is yours and my simple existence, existing beyond what science said, how we rediscover our power in the way we walk, how we regain our power in the way we talk, how we turn a fight in an elevator to an album worth $1 million, how we cook and season our food, how we don't let others distract us from where we want to go. And that is what Cal State University at Monterey Bay reminded me of. And I really appreciate the students, the faculty and staff, the higher level administrators. And I just really appreciate the honor. But I know I couldn't do this alone. So thank you so, so much. It was with all of our help. It was with all of who we were during that time. And as you see still now, that got us here. So thank you so much. It is with me. It is with my ancestors. It is with my God that I stand here today, that I'm grateful for receiving this honor. Thank you so much, everyone, and whoever else was on the committee.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It is just so fabulous to see you. You're just so inspirational. The All Black Gala 2022 Black Excellence Faculty Award goes to Ms. Lynn White Dixon. Lynn received her bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Chicago. Lynn has lived in Monterey County since 1976 and is married to her husband, Robert, and the mother of 2 young men. Lynn served as the clinical supervisor and MSW intern coordinator at CSUMB's Personal Growth and Counseling Center from 1998 to 2021. She also provided individual and group therapy to students and founded the Women's Group, the longest running and best attended counseling group in the history of the Counseling Center. What Lynn most enjoyed about working at the PGCC was watching students and interns develop a secure sense of themselves as they move through college and internship experiences. Lynn is a licensed clinical social worker with over 45 years of professional experience. Although retired from CSUMB, Lynn retains a private practice in Monterey where she focuses on working with children from the child welfare system who are moving into adoptive families. She was also a longtime trainer for the Kinship Center's Adoption Clinical Training Program. Lynn was the first Black psychiatric social worker hired at the Community Hospital of Monterey Peninsula's Mental Health Center, as well as the first Black social worker supervisor at the Monterey County Department of Social Services. Lynn established CSUMB's first former foster youth support program at CSUMB, now the Guardian Scholars Program, and has over 20 years experience as a National Coalition Building Institute diversity trainer. Lynn served 10 years as chair of the Monterey County chapter of the National Association of Social Workers and was awarded Social Worker of the Year upon retirement. For years, Lynn has demonstrated her commitment to supporting women of color through campus partnerships and collaborations, such as the Otter Cultural Center Black Women's Retreat and Women of Color Retreat. And in recent years, she has been a frequent keynote speaker at the Women's March. Please welcome my friend and my mentor, the most influential person in my professional career, something many others beside me can claim, Ms. Lynn White Dixon.
Wow. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone, for honoring me. I want to thank also the African Heritage Faculty and Staff Alliance for bestowing this honor upon me. I am truly honored and humbled by this recognition. When I came to Monterey County 45 years ago, straight out of graduate school with my MSW from the University of Chicago, I had never heard of Fort Ord, Seaside, or Monterey. I came to this community for my first job as a professional social worker in response to an ad that read, "Wanted a minority social worker to provide mental health services to a minority community." That was the way Community Hospital listed their ad in the San Francisco Chronicle back in 1976. At that time, in 1976, minority meant Black. This job sounded perfect for me. It would get me to California, which I'd been wanting to do since I was 16. It would let me practice community mental health, which had been my concentration in school. And it sounded like I'd be able to provide outreach and therapy to a Black community, which was going to feed my heart. I applied, was interviewed, and hired. I moved to this community only knowing two people. Some of you on this call may remember Calvin and Irene Reeves, who were friends of a friend of mine, and then who welcomed me into their home. And then I proceeded to experience and get to know what it means to provide mental health services in a diverse and unique community such as Seaside was at that time. Fort Ord was big. We had a large African American community here, and the need for services was great. Community Hospital had a grant and had a community mental health center, which required them to do services in the minority community. So I started my work as a psychiatric social worker at the grand age of 23 and going around Seaside and the peninsula and introducing myself to agencies, schools, and community leaders and asking them what type of services were needed here in this community. By doing this, I got to meet wonderful Black leaders of the Seaside community back then. Mayor Steve Ross, Seaside Police Chief Ira Lively, Mr. Billy DeBerry at MPUSD, Miss Pearl Carey, and others. These wonderful, warm, intelligent Black folks welcomed me and supported and encouraged my efforts. Mental health carried a much larger stigma in the Black community then than it does today. And I spent a lot of time talking at school and community meetings and with parents, telling people, especially our people, getting mental health services does not mean you're crazy. Little did I know that these initial experiences here in Seaside would set the course for the rest of my career and my life. Over the past 45 years, I've had wonderful opportunities to work with children, families, and young adults in a variety of settings, both as a clinician and community volunteer. And in all of my work, I've always advocated for equity, kindness, empathy, and understanding. Though I've advocated for all marginalized individuals and groups, Black folks remain a priority in my heart. Whether working with a Black child caught up in the foster care system or working with Black students at CSUMB, I've always encouraged and supported them to be kind and empathic with themselves first, and to not let anyone or any system take away their humanity and positive sense of who they are. So tonight, as we honor these amazing Black leaders, alumni, students in our community, and I am so honored to be part of that group, all of us have contributed so much to our community while also living in a country that is clearly not wanting any part of us to be honored. I want to continue to encourage all of us to do the work, to continue to do the work for social justice and equity, to be kind and understanding and empathic to yourself and to others, especially with your fellow Black sisters and brothers, and to not let anyone or anything take away your humanity, your racial pride, and your excellence. Thank you so much for honoring me. And thank you for this beautiful, beautiful plaque.
Congratulations, Lynn. I am so lucky. I think I'm the most fortunate person on earth to have been mentored by you for 5 wonderful years. Just extraordinary how much I've learned from you, which is so little of the totality of what you actually know. Just amazing. Well, we have a surprise. Before we get to our community honorees, we have one final surprise honoree. In other words, it's a surprise to him. In the 15 years that I have been at CSUMB, I can honestly say that I have never seen a leader of the caliber of Dr. Brian Corpening. For years, many of us, myself included, funded our Black-themed events out of our own pockets and our own extracurricular time, which, given the general demands of working at CSUMB, plus the cultural taxation of working while Black, was often too little to make the systemic changes that we truly needed. All that changed with the arrival of Dr. Corpening to our campus in 2018. The first thing I did when Dr. Corpening arrived on campus was to take him on a tour of Seaside, where I introduced him to some of the biggest players in our community, like Helen Rucker and Mrs. Ruthie Watts. I gave him the lowdown on the Village Project and the NAACP. And it wasn't long before he began striking up off-campus community friendships on his own with Fred Jealous and Derek Williams and some of our local pastors. Meanwhile, at CSUMB, he has been nothing short of omnipresent, effortlessly navigating and obliterating the silos on our campus to bridge and connect paid leaders and volunteer activists all over the campus. Ideas like a Black Student Center that had been talked about on this campus since I was an undergraduate suddenly became real as Dr. Corpening fought for the financial and material resources needed to make them a reality. As the leader of the President's Committee on Equity and Inclusion, along with Office of Inclusive Excellence Director Dr. Najoni Chao Garcia, they created a committee composed of committed advocates for inclusive equity across all the divisions of the campus, and announced at the outset that this would not be just another talking committee, but a committee expected to advocate for changes substantial enough to make real the promises of equity preached in the founding vision statement of the university. Dr. Copening was born on the former Fort Ord and lived all over the country and abroad. He attended Seaside High School for a couple of years in the late 70s, where he and his brother were golfing champions. Part of the reason Brian returned to CSUMB 4 years ago was because he remembered those years as the happiest for his family before his brother was tragically killed some years later while the family was living in Iran. As a young college student at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, Dr. Copening joined the Black Student Union, where he participated in a sit-in at the president's office to protest the school's lack of African American faculty. Dr. Copening was the first person in his family to graduate college and now has over 30 years experience working in higher education. In a 2019 article interview with Sophia Huang McKinsey, Dr. Copening is quoted as having said, "Making sure people had access and opportunities was always part of what I saw as my purpose, my reason for being. Wherever I have been, I've always had this commitment to fairness and equity and access and opportunity, whether my role was explicit or implicit. Colleges and universities fully realize their transformative power when you bring people of diverse backgrounds to an environment where they're learning and sharing and growing and also teaching and developing. Education is that great transformer for individuals and societies. When people have access and opportunities and are able to pursue their goals and their dreams and their aspirations, there's nothing else that does that." Please welcome the 2022 Black Excellence Cabinet Member Honoree, the extraordinary Dr. Brian Copening.
Wow. First of all, wow. But one thing I do want to say is that I wasn't a golf champion, my brother was. So I appreciate the shout out for that. But thank you. Y'all are something else, man, because y'all know how to surprise somebody. But I'll just say this. I've always tried to leave it better than I found it. And I think that's the guiding principle for all of us. To make this world better, we have to be willing to get beyond ourselves and think about the broader world that we seek to have for ourselves and for our family and for our loved ones and for our friends. And that's what it's always been about. Even my first job in higher education, where I was the only Black male employee at my university, it was about making it better for other people. And even to this point in time now, it's not about me, never has been. I'm a flawed person, very flawed. But the one thing I've always believed in is that if I wanted to make it better, I had to be willing to sacrifice and commit myself to doing exactly that. So I just thank all of you. I'm blessed, I really am. You know, and coming here, I lost my father while I was here, but I think about 1956 when he drove across country to marry my mother, and then drove back by himself as he married her, and she joined him later on and started a family where my brother and I were both born here. And this was the last place that we were happy before my brother was tragically taken from us. So coming here wasn't about a job, because I mean, if anything, I wanted to move closer to the East Coast to be next to my mom and dad, but it was Monterey. It meant everything. It was this magical place that meant so much to my family. And that's why I came here. And so I'm thankful that I came here, and I've met some phenomenal people, and I thank all of you. And I'm blessed, and I will continue to be blessed because I will always think about this. So thank you. And I will never forget this evening and what y'all have done. And y'all are really, really good about surprising me like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Very well deserved. Extremely, extremely well deserved. We are at the point in the program where we honor community elders who have provided decades of professional and civic service to various communities and programs in Monterey County, and who have for years been models of Black excellence for the generations that have followed theirs. Our honorees this evening are Mr. Edward Armstrong and Ms. Helen Rucker. Edward Armstrong, known as Ed with 2 Ds by his friends, was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and raised in Kansas City, Kansas. In 1966, Mr. Armstrong became the first African-American teacher hired in the Salinas Union High School District. Mr. Armstrong's many professional and civic associates have included 8 years as a board member with the California Association of Teachers of English, 20 years of various leadership positions and committee work within the Monterey County branch NAACP, and as a founding board member of the Village Project Incorporated. Here to present the 2022 All Black Gala Community Award for Black Excellence to Mr. Armstrong and speak on behalf of his friend and colleague, please welcome the Village Project co-founder, executive, and clinical director, Mr. Mel Mason, licensed clinical social worker and past president of the Monterey County branch NAACP.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a real privilege and a real honor to be here to do this with my buddy, Ed Armstrong. Ed and I have been knowing each other for quite a number of years. We've also worked together in at least a couple of venues and probably more for the past, gosh knows how many years. The thing that's been so impressive about Ed is certainly his strength, his fortitude, his steadiness. Some people think that, well, Ed is so serious that he may not have a sense of humor. I can tell you that he does. But people also look at Ed as someone that just keeps his nose to the grindstone, keeps his shoulder to the wheel, and he obviously does that. One of the things that I thought about when I first met Ed was because of the way that he spelled his name, EDD. I thought he had a doctorate in education. And when I first met him and talked to him, he was so scholastic and academic that I figured, yes, this brother does have a doctorate in education. Come to find out later that that might not have been true, but the fact is that all of us have ways of expressing our uniqueness. And perhaps this was one of Ed's way of doing that very thing. When I think of Ed, I think about illumination. I think about direction finding, and certainly I think about unshakability. As a member of the leadership of the local NAACP branch, when I was president and when I was in other positions in that great organization of ours here locally, I saw the impact that Ed had on a lot of young people. Ed served on the education committee. He was a part of the committee that gave out scholarships to our young people. And that gave him, I think, the opportunity of impacting young people probably beyond the scope of what he thought he may have been doing. In focusing back on when Ed was the first Black teacher, Salinas Unified School District, North Salinas High School, I mean, I can only imagine some of the things that Ed went through, but Ed was unshakable. He was committed. And I think over the years, we heard from some of his former students who talked about how Ed had illuminated a path for them so that they could find their direction and move forward to having much greater lives than probably they even expected to have, because Ed was there to impact them in more than just a course of study, but also about how they could best function in life, as young human beings. Unshakability, illumination, direction finding. Ed working with us at the Village Project, as you know, as you mentioned, he was a founding member of the board of directors. He's now a board director emeriti for the Village Project, the agency that my wife Regina and I created almost 14 years ago. Ed was a big part of that founding. Ed was also a big part of direction finding for our agency as we began to deal with more than mental health work, well, all of it's mental health work ultimately, but in our educational approaches and other kinds of approaches to assist, especially underserved young people, especially Black young people who came through our agency. Ed was instrumental in that. And so when I look at all of these avenues and venues that Ed has been a part of, the thing that continued to strike me was that he was illuminating, he was direction finding, and he was unshakable. And so I was sitting, and I'll end my presentation for Ed with this. I was watching Oprah Winfrey. It's been a number of months back now. And she had on this show a brother by the name of Steve Pemberton. And he had just released a book, and it was called The Lighthouse Effect. Basically how ordinary people can have extraordinary impact on the lives of others. And what he said in the interview that he did with Oprah was, the lighthouse effect, he said, is the simple idea that any of us, despite the hustle and bustle of our own lives, wrestling with our own ambitions and imperfections, can pause and change the arc of the life of others. It's also a reflection of our own journey, that our lives are altered, transformed, and reimagined by the seemingly ordinary yet extraordinary people who come along at just the right time to help and guide us along the way. I have come to call these persons lighthouses because, like the structures they resemble, they are humble and steady. They seek no reward. They require no recognition. And yet we all set our life's compass by them. The lighthouse effect is intended to take you on that journey of discovery about your own life and the power your life has to impact and touch the lives of others. And so that reminded me of Ed Armstrong, and I'm glad I had an opportunity, Ed, to be here tonight to help certainly present you with this award, but to tell you of my undying gratitude for everything that you have done and everything that you continue to do. And I'm just so glad to have been a part of some of the things that you've done to help the people in our community. So congratulations, my brother. You know, I love you like a brother. And this is just another honor for you that I think is long overdue. Thank you.
And I thank you very much, Bill. I'm moved by your words. You know that although I'm a somewhat large man, I'm shy and introverted. And I appreciate very much your introducing me. I'm truly honored as being one of this year's recipients of the Black Excellent Past, Present, and Future Award on behalf of CSUMB and the Monterey County branch NACP. I sincerely thank Dr. Brian Kopenich, Associate Vice President and Inclusive Excellence and Sustainability, and Yvonne Thomas, our phenomenal President of the Monterey County branch NACP. Did everybody hear the preceding words?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, because I just clicked on something. Some of the individuals whom I'd like to thank this evening for supporting me throughout these years, or my late mother, who passed away 5 months ago at the age of 101. Mel Mason again. Helen Rucker, whom I met when she was on the advisory board, when she was on the African American Advisory Board of the Monterey AIDS Project. And then Helen was associated with the NAACP, as most of you know. And when I came on board as a member and then as an officer, et cetera, our friendship continued, and it still continues today. I also would like to thank Stephen Goings for his support over the years, Alana Miles, and our current secretary of the Monterey County branch in ACP, Pat, all who have given guidance, help, support, all being dynamic. As a civil life member of the NAACP, I've witnessed as well as participated in its vital mission of, and I quote, disrupting inequality, accelerating changes in education, criminal justice, and health, and in conjunction with its mission and tonight's program, I would like to dedicate a poem titled "We're Marching" by Connie Law Morgan Riggs. We're marching, truly marching. Can't you hear the sound of feet? We're fearing no impediment. Excuse me. Like Job of old, we have had patience. Like Joshua, dangerous roads we've tread. Like Solomon, we have built our temples. Like Abraham, we had faith in God. Up the sheets of wealth and commerce, we're marching one by one. We're marching, making history for ourselves and those to come. We have planted schools and churches. We have answered duty's call. We have marched from slavery's cabin to the legislative hall. Brethren, can't you catch the speed? You who are out just to get in line, because we are marching. Yes, we are marching to the music of the time. We are marching, steady marching, bridging chasms, crossing streams, marching up the hills of progress, realizing our fondest dreams. We're marching, truly marching. Can't you hear the sound of feet? We're fearing no impediment. We shall never show defeat. I'm honored and humbled, and I thank you very much. And I can show, I appreciate the plaque, which I received 2 days ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ed, Mr. Armstrong, and congratulations. Our final honoree, Miss Helen Rucker, is easily one of the most respected and influential women in Monterey County, having received many awards and accommodations over the years. Ms. Rucker graduated from high school at the age of 15 and received her Master of Science degree from Louisiana State University in 1959. She relocated to Seaside, California in 1964, where she served as a school librarian until her retirement in 1988, after which she launched a second career as public official, civil and voting rights advocate, and community activist. Elected positions have included the Seaside City Council from 92 to 98 and the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District Board of Trustees from 2005 to 2013. In 1998, Ms. Rucker endowed a $25,000 scholarship to CSUMB on behalf of late husband James Rucker. Ms. Rucker is a former president of Monterey County Branch NAACP and the founder of the Seaside Voter Education Center. Given Ms. Rucker's status in the community and her simply enormous body of work, several of her friends and colleagues have been asked to share a few words on her behalf, starting with her friend, Ms. Judith McCaskill Robinson.
Okay. Good evening. It is my great honor to recognize a dedicated community activist and icon, Mrs. Helen Rucker. What I'd like to do is just tell my personal story of how Mrs. Rucker has made a difference in my life. I moved here to Monterey approximately 11 years ago. And I moved here only knowing one person. And when I arrived here, I said, you know, who else should I get to know in the community? And someone said, the perfect person you need to meet is Mrs. Rucker. So I took a drive over to Seaside, to the Seaside Voter Education Registration Center. We all know it, right there at the corner of Fremont Boulevard. I walked in and was introduced to Mrs. Rucker, and it was if we had known each other our entire lives. Mrs. Rucker always has that way of making you feel welcome, and will tell you, sit down, have a seat, and let's see what's going on in your life. And from that, we developed a great relationship where anytime I was over in the Seaside area, I knew I was going to stop by and see Mrs. Rucker. If I came early in the morning, then I knew I could find Mrs. Rucker at Nifty 50 and sit down and have breakfast. If I was later in the afternoon, I would stop by the center. And we would chat about everything from life to family, the news, business, health and wealth, politics, equality, whatever subject was on our mind at that day. And then we developed our relationship to the point where I carved out on Fridays, if Mrs. Rucker's schedule will allow and my schedule will allow, we would have a 2-hour lunch and actually chat and get brought up to date with what's going on in the world and problem solving the world's challenges. Now, there are 3 areas where Mrs. Rucker helped shape my career here. And the first was 11 years ago, my very first community financial awareness center was conducted right there at the center on Fremont. And then later, about 5 years ago, I was talking to Mrs. Rucker and I said, well, you know, I'm thinking about writing my first book. And Mrs. Rucker, knowing how books work, she says, okay, you got to do it properly. And have you gotten your ISBN number? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is, but I did my research and wrote the book and published it properly. 7 Principles Turn Your Salary into Millions. And Mrs. Rucker was one of the first people to read the manuscript before getting it published. So very much thanks to Mrs. Rucker in that area with helping me move that forward. And then the third area with Mrs. Rucker helped shape my career is we were eating lunch, one of our many Friday lunches. And Mrs. Rucker looked at me and she said, well, Judy, you're good at, you really love people and you're good at numbers. Have you ever thought about a career in real estate. And I said, no, I haven't. My lane is in the financial arena. But Mrs. Rucker planted that seed. And 3 months later, I acquired my real estate license. So those are the 3 areas that Mrs. Rucker helped me personally. I know with all of us, we could tell so many other stories where Mrs. Rucker were instrumental in helping us get on track, doing the things that were our talents and our strengths. So with that said, this evening, it is absolutely my pleasure to congratulate my mentor, my wise friend, Mrs. Rucker, and congratulations on your award for tonight.
Next, we have Ms. Rucker's live-in personal assistant, Ms. Denise Maiden, who will present Ms. Rucker's son, James, who will in turn introduce Ms. Rucker. Please welcome Ms. Denise Maiden.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor to be living here with this young lady. I met Mrs. Rucker 50 years ago when me and my 2 children and my brother drove into the Monterey Peninsula. A month after I got here, I started working for the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District and Dr. Charlie Knight in the Department of Special Projects. At that time, Mrs. Rucker was a librarian at the Martin Luther King Middle School. Every year we had to do a grant for our Title I programs and a couple of the other programs. And Ms. Rucker would be the one to help me get all that written material and the reading material that the children would need throughout the school year. But when she asked me to speak for her this evening, it was an honor. However, I felt that there was someone who could really, really let you know about Helen Louise Bulleney Rucker. And that is her son, James Rucker Jr. So at this time, Helen, I'm proud of you, and I am just so honored that they are honoring you. And James, take it away.
Thank you, Denise. And thank you everyone who's put this wonderful program together first. This is, I've been like inspired and touched by so many of the honorees, and Stephen and everyone else who put this together. Just thank you. This is the kind of thing that, we need, and it's especially as we face continued difficulties in the world that seem in many ways intractable. This is like a bright moment for me. So I really appreciate it. And Denise, thank you. I remember, I've told this story to Denise and others. I remember watching Denise with a typewriter working for Dr. Knight and with my mom and being amazed at what she was doing. And I was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 at that time. And I'm so grateful, Denise, that you're here with Mom now. So first, I'm grateful that everyone's honoring my mother and everyone else. I'm also grateful that I've had the unique privilege of being her son. And as many of you know, and folks have talked a little bit about her deeds and contributions to the community. It's probably not surprising, but as my mother, the contributions she's made to my life have been truly invaluable. I'm now 52, so I hope I've done some things that are good in the world, but everything that I think of that I've been able to accomplish, I can track it back to the lessons from my mom, to moments that I wasn't even being spoken to, let's say, but I was observing, and just the day-to-day living with my father, my late father, and my mother as my parents. I learned the value of service, right? When there are things that need to get done and you have the resources or the knowledge or the time to do it, then you do it, you make it happen, right? That was just the way my mother worked. And I learned that just by being there with her. I learned the value of community, right? That the people around you deserve compassion. They deserve care. They deserve attention and time, right? And if you have privilege or knowledge or access that others don't have, then you share that, you put that to work for the benefit of others, for the benefit of the community. I learned the value of advocacy, right? When those in power are not doing right by others, they're not doing what's right. And if you have the tools available and you have your own personal power to make a difference, then you push to make things right. And again, it's, you know, there've been moments in my work where I've kind of gone out on a limb, or I just had an instinct. There was a way I thought I needed to go about doing a thing. And then I would learn, I would remember, or I would discover something or have a conversation with someone and go, oh, that's what mom would do, right? That's how mom showed up. You know, they weren't so many. I mean, she had things to say to me, of course, but it wasn't the stated lessons. It was the lessons that came from just being with my mother as her son growing up from a tiny child, you know, to a young adult. Let's see. So yeah, I guess what, you know, the last thing I would say, or I think it's the last thing I'll say, is, you know, in many ways, what I am trying to do, and I think about it, like literally think about it very often, is to try to live up to the example that my mother has set. You know, both like with respect to the communities that I'm in, to this country, to the world, but perhaps most importantly to her grandchildren, my lovely two kids, Jonah and Elijah, who are 14 and 8. And it's a tall order. There are things that I think, I don't know if they were easy, but, you know, they were just the way mom showed up. And, you know, I just, you know, very often I'm thinking, okay, how do I do that? How do I show up like mom showed up? And if I do a 70% job of that, then I'm there, then I'm winning, right? So anyway, I just want to thank everyone who's put this together. Thank you all for honoring my mother. And I want to say to you, Mom, I love you tremendously. I'm so happy that you're receiving this kind of honor. Congratulations. And I'll leave it there. Thanks. I think you're on mute, Mom. You can sit. One minute.
Okay.
Oh.
There's your grandson.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. What else can anybody say after all of this? Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Rucker. Now with a special announcement about the Center for Black Student Success, please welcome back President Eduardo Ochoa.
Wow, what a fantastic program we've had today. I want to add my congratulations for Brian Corpenning's recognition today. I am very proud of having selected him among many other well-qualified applicants for the position of Associate Vice President for Inclusive Excellence. He's done a fantastic job, and I'm very grateful. But the announcement: over the past 2 years, the Center for Black Student Success has become an important feature of our campus community. By supporting students in research, creating mentoring networks, and actively engaging students and the broader community, it has become a source of hope, creativity, and positive change. The Center for Black Student Success has become a standard of excellence that not only supports students, but enhances our university community. Although much of what it has accomplished occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, the center has nevertheless been successful in supporting, nurturing, and encouraging students from various backgrounds and ethnicities. In recognition of that impact and to honor the contributions of an individual who has done so much for this region and who has been a steadfast supporter of CSUMB, we are renaming the Center for Black Student Success the Helen Rucker Center for Black Excellence.
Wow.
Yay!
Oh.
Not only does this new name honor Helen Rucker, but it also honors and recognizes all the individuals in the community who played such an important role in bringing about California State University, Monterey Bay. CSUMB owes all of you an enormous debt of gratitude, and we hope that the Helen Rucker Center for Black Excellence capture those feelings of deep appreciation. Thank you and congratulations, Helen, for all of you've done.
Oh, wow. 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 That's all I can say is wow. Oh. Okay.
This verse says that in recognition of the transformative service and extraordinary contribution of Helen Rucker, and to commemorate the naming of the Helen Rucker Center for Black Excellence, February 26, 2022, California State University, Monterey Bay.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Ochoa. Thank you, the university that I love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, gosh.
We're privileged to be able to do this for you. We're very thankful for all that you've done for us.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Thank you. I can't hardly breathe. Wow. I think they're expecting me to say something else.
Congratulations again, Ms. Rucker.
Thank you for your part in participating in this. Thank you. Oh,
We have reached the end of our program, but before we go, we have two announcements and want to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors and committee members. Thank you to our sponsors, the CSUMB Office of Inclusive Excellence and Sustainability, the Center for Black Student Success, now the Helen Rucker Center for Black Excellence, the Monterey County Branch NAACP, the Otter Cross-Cultural Center of CSUMB, and the Otter Student Union. Details regarding supporting the Helen Rucker Center for Black Excellence will be provided soon. I have been your host and Mistress of Ceremonies, Brooklyn Green. On behalf of Black Students United, we want to give a special thanks to all the Black Gala committee members, Dr. Brian Corpening, Dr. Daniel Summerhill, Javier Camayo, Karina Alvarez, Marlena Rose, Rhonda Mercadal Evans, Rudy Medina, Stephen Goings, Victoria Gomez, Dr. Vivian Waldrop Patterson, and Yvonne Thomas. Please join us on April 24th from 4 to 6 p.m. for the All Black Gala Mixer, where we can celebrate the Black excellence of our honorees and their contributions to the communities of CSUMB and Monterey County in person. And finally, please join and support the Monterey County Branch NAACP as it celebrates 90 years of civil rights activism in Monterey County at the NAACP Annual Life Membership Banquet on Saturday, April 30th, 2022 at the Embassy Suites Hotel in Seaside. Thank you again, and you guys have a blessed night.